Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 73 of Midday Populance. And today we are with Patty, Emily, and Jen, or Yarn Gardener.
Hi, everybody. It's Patty. Excited to be here.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Emily. I've been on before. I'm glad to be back, and I've got my Tora green tea ready to go.
I'm Jen. I've just done one before. I'm excited to be back.
Emily will be starting us off.
Yes. Okay, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so bear with me here. Okay, so we start off right off the bat with a sexual innuendo. God, he stuck
I didn't realize that till now.
What? You what?
I did not realize that till now. Maybe I would just
like the gates open and it's like sex. So like literally he shoved what into your what. So Tora is obviously just finding out what is stuck into the tailpipe, or Poppy is. So he says, yeah, that fucktwat jammed it all the way in again. I'm blushing on behalf of this, we will find in the tailpipe. So this is what we find out what Tora was laughing at the end of the previous chapter. And we see this little frame where there is literally a potato shoved in there, which I'm personally a fan of potatoes. I like drawing silly potatoes that are Midnight Poppyland themed. So I was very proud of this potato that made it into this episode.
I immediately saw the potato. Yeah, exactly.
I was Emily got the potato episode.
Yep.
I was very excited.
I was expecting the potato to have like one of your little caricatures. It was like
well, we only see one side. It could be on the other side.
It could be Vincent's face shoved into that tailpipe. I would be perfectly okay with that.
Hey, especially because, like you said, it's sexual innuendo. So yeah, definitely be okay with that.
All the way in there.
Yes.
So fun fact.
Like, Julri is like carrying around potatoes.
That's what I want to know. Like, who does that? Did he go grocery shopping? Was he trying to lure Poppy in with a dinner date? I don't know. That's giving him too much credit, though, I think.
Yeah. So, well, when she says that Tool must have been feeling so pleased with his stupid potato business. Now, I'm curious. The term business could have two definitions. Is it like business, like monkey business? Or does he actually grow and sell potatoes for his living? It's possible. Maybe he's a potato farmer. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. We don't know what he does, indeed.
That would be funny.
That's my guess. I think he's a
Would you use him as a supplier for your potatoes?
Yes, that's exactly where I get my potatoes from, and that's why I make fun of all of them, because they're so we see this potato shoved in there, and we realize that this car is not going to start. So fun fact, a banana also works to shove into the tailpipe of a car, and it doesn't work. That also seems like a fitting fruit that we could use.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Also jammed.
I took you seriously for a second. Though.
You can't. No, you can't. Like I am. Like a banana is also one of the things that people will shove into tailpipes. So it. But
what I want to know is, how do you know this, Emily?
I did research years ago, but no.
Research.
I'll just be
theoretical. Not applied.
Oh God.
Yeah. So okay, moving on from my felonies. So we get to this section here where we've got Tora realizing this car is not going to be starting anytime soon. And Poppy realizes that this can't be helped. She's going to have to do something. Now, I think Patty had mentioned something. You had a theory about like why she was blowing out her breath here.
So what did I write down? Let me see here. I thought like maybe she was psyching herself up, like, because I mean, she has that moment later on where she's psyching herself up, but I think she's kind of like, oh God, what the hell did I write? I spent all day yesterday writing.
No, I can remind you because I literally just
Please
read
do.
So, yeah, you were saying that she was realizing now that like she was trying to avoid possibly like getting in the car with him, or like just being like close proximity.
Yes.
And then it's like, wow, okay, well, close proximity is going to be happening now. Like I was trying to avoid it. He was gonna follow me. Now we're gonna have to just like.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. And this is like super close proximity. Like I know they've made out and whatnot, but if you've looked at their body language when they have those moments, there's still a little bit of space in between them.
Mm-hmm.
except the alleyway kiss. That was another one where they were very close. But this is like, as we see later, junk on junk kind of close. That's very close.
And I saw this and I thought a similar thing, and I called it my I'll go up the stairs first moment, where she's finally like used to be like, no, like, Tora, you go up the stairs first. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not okay with the situation. I'm protecting myself. And now it's kind of like okay, it can't be helped. Like, I'm gonna put myself in a relatively vulnerable position. Like, I will let Tora straddle me with his gigantic thighs that I want to push me with.
I mean, why not? Jen knows exactly what we're thinking.
Jen, I tend to bulldoze, so I know I'm starting this off, but at some point, like, tell me to shut up and jump in.
Nope, I'm all in.
Good.
Okay. I also note what I liked was that she probably made this joke about being a civilian, civilian life for you, don't judge or blame commoner ways. And I thought that really indicated how comfortable she is with their statuses. And, she doesn't, how a lot of people, like, if they think something is a negative thing or beneath them, but they don't want to be judgmental, but they really are, they'll like avoid talking about it because they're like, oh, I don't want to embarrass you by saying, let's say, if you're saying you're an immigrant or something and they secretly think being an immigrant is a bad thing, they don't talk about it. Like, they won't say it because they're trying to be polite. But Poppy doesn't have that judgment associated with the mafia, at least for Tora. And so she's comfortable, saying, oh yeah, you're a mafia and I'm a civilian, because that shows that she doesn't think that makes him other.
That's true. That's another point where, he doesn't have to change his language in front of her. He doesn't have to change the way he dresses. I mean, even though he went total, like, balls to the walls, like, fancy man about town.
Uncle Tora.
Yeah.
I have a question. So if you put a potato in a tailpipe, you can, like, get it out, right?
Depends on how far it's shoved up there. So if it's like wedged in there, you're gonna need to like corkscrew something in there and pull it out, or like,
because I feel like later he, like, I don't want to ruin it, but like I feel like he wants to get a new car, and I'm like, can't you just like get it out the next day? I don't know. Anyway.
I guess Darlene's garage could take care of it.
It's right there.
For vegetable shoved into your tailpipe.
I was wondering the same. I was like, I kind of would assume Tora has a knife on him somewhere, like, but it's okay. It's all for the plot.
It
needs to happen.
That's true. It's very
potato
important.
plot.
Potato plot.
The potato plot. Oh god, that sounds like a revolution, like in the 1600s or something.
Okay, so we get this next section where Poppy brings her scooter around, and as soon as she's getting on her scooter, this is where like Tora realizes like he has abandonment issues. Like, I'm pretty sure like this is where he's like, oh my god, she's leaving me. Like, what? Where you going? And like, this is the first time it's like, damn, like I'm feeling panic. But Poppy's getting all like bossy and like motorcycle chick sexy here, being like, hey, get on, bitch. Get on the back. Ride.
Yeah, that look on her face is so serious. Like, let's go. Let's do this.
But she's still hesitant because she says, I'll try to get us back.
Yeah.
So Tora here we get love the really scenic like wind blowing through the hair, the spotlight, and it's got like oh god, he's got that like gut reaction of just like being honest. He's like, well, hold on a sec, and then it's like, then he, like, you can see it like all of a sudden he's thinking the wind's blowing the other way, like just like time is kind of like going back and forth, and then he thinks about the possibilities, adjusts his glasses because he can't adjust something else, and hops on the back of the bike without saying a word. He doesn't necessarily lie, he omits things.
So I did upon first read through, and Emily, when I went through your notes, like it dawned on me, I was like, that's what he's holding back on, because I'm like, because I'm like, what is he holding back here? What does he not want to say? And I'm like, I get that he might be uncomfortable being that close to her, but like, is he just fumbling with like saying that he would be uncomfortable with that, or what do you guys think?
Yeah,
I feel like he. Oh, go ahead.
Right. Okay, you go.
I would like maybe he held it back on purpose so that he could be close to her like that. But even though I guess he's still close to her if he's driving too, so I don't know.
So Yes, I thought it was actually, first of all, I didn't realize till later, like what he was holding back. But I think now looking back at it, I think that he held it back because he wants to give her the space to lead. You know, he doesn't want to have to be like, he's like, I don't have to take control. She's perfectly capable of driving herself. You know, why should I dominate and say like, oh, let me do it?
Maybe he liked a strong little hamster.
Well, and not to be totally crude, but I mean,
please do.
We know he's an ass man, and we know Poppy's backside is exquisite. So
he's an everything man. He's looked at her lips, he's looked at her tits, he's looked
this
at her
is
ass.
true.
Like, I'm pretty sure like there is not a single part of her body that he's gonna be like,
This is true. At this point, he's just a Poppy man.
He's a Poppy. Yes. So, okay, so he's on the back of this bike now. This is happening. And he's got this adorable little blush. And we see
you gotta zoom in for that. That is cute.
Yeah. You have to zoom in all the time. They're like, you miss me. If you do not read this like 7 times in a row, zooming all over the place and like focusing
Holy
on everything.
Crap. Okay, so when you zoom in, like I had noticed the blush, but like I had just noticed just now his bug eyes. Holy crap.
Need to zoom in. You're right. Oh my god, you're right. This is it's just
oh my god.
You can tell he is like quite nervous about being that. Lily gave us a panel just focused on their nether regions, and they're like tucked into each other. So man, I mean, it's great.
I'm sorry, like half of this podcast is y'all. This podcast is going to be us giggling, wheezing, and just generally dying for the next 2 hours.
I was gonna say it's gonna be a long. I apologize, Minnie. This is gonna be long. Also, like Patty and I have never been on a call together before, and like we talk all the time off of this, but like this is going to derail at some point. I
Yes, it will.
Well, and y'all caught the Patreon this week, right?
Oh.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
I never missed it.
I'm curious to see where that one goes.
I am always ready for all of the content. So if you haven't gotten on there yet, people, this is the time to do it.
Oh my god, that look. And then go ahead, Emily.
Oh yeah. And then we get to serious Poppy. Where she's got like her game face on and she's feeling things quite possibly. She is not saying a goddamn word about it. Giving her little positive mantra.
Remember when they were on the cliff and Tora was like, she was like, hey Tora, I feel something. And he's like, forget about it, ignore it.
This is definitely an ignore it thing. He even has the vernacular of his great granddaddy.
Those two, the genes are strong. So yeah, so we got Poppy with her little "you got this" mantra over and over again, which she definitely got it. She's got something. And I love this upcoming scene because she's flustered. Like sexually flustered Poppy is flustered. She is swerving. She is like hitting the gas. Which in my mind, I see her hitting the gas and then sliding back and then like swerving and then sliding back again. And like that thing, she's just bumping all over the place.
That chest right there.
Yeah, because we know that she knows how to drive a scooter. Like, sure, she did crash, but it was because of a stupid rock, the rock of destiny,
and her stress.
Yeah, for sure. So like we know she knows how to drive it, but there's 2 very large factors here. One is the man behind her, and then also the man behind her.
Yeah. And so I have Poppy's like exact scooter. It's a white Buddy. For me, it's a 55cc. I don't have a motorcycle license. My husband will not let me get a motorcycle license. It has been a point of contention, but his point is that he's terrified I'm going to die and he doesn't trust other people on the road, not necessarily me, but he doesn't trust other people. So he doesn't want me going on, at least in New Jersey. I don't know other places, but if you have a 50cc's or lower, you don't need a motorcycle license, but you can only go on 45-mile-an-hour roads or lower. Gotcha. Once you get to 50-mile-an-hour roads, you need a motorcycle license, and a motorcycle 50cc's gets you probably about 50 miles, and then it tops out. So, and it's a white little bunny and it looks just like hers. And I tried driving with my husband behind me once. He was in the bitch seat behind me and it's hard. And he's only like 170, like 175. Like he's a skinny little string bean for 6 feet tall, but it was hard to balance that kind of weight. And I can just imagine Poppy doing it with Tora. Like it's not an easy ride. So we get to the next section.
Okay. So they've tried as best they can, or Poppy has tried as best they can to get their way out of town, but they've barely made it out of town. And Poppy's like, wait, Tora, we have a problem. Something is up. And I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? And then I don't know about y'all, but when I read this next part, like I read it in a very like speedy, panicky voice. What problem? I don't see a problem.
100%.
I'm like, what are you panicking about, Tora?
I thought he was just like enjoying being behind her. He was like, yeah, this is great.
oh, I'm sure he's enjoying it a little too much.
Yeah, I read it as like the kid that's trying to get away with doing something that he shouldn't have done kind of voice, like, but like,
yeah,
the version of that, like the sneaky little, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine, right?
Everything's hunky-dory. Sure. I don't care if it takes us an hour to get back to your house. I'm completely comfortable. But she says, she starts in on this, I don't mean to be rude. And she stands up and like anybody else, like, I zoomed in on this panel. I was like, the man spread. And I even have this in my notes in all caps, man spread.
I feel like he was like nervous, right? That she was going to say, I don't mean to be rude, but Tora, I can feel you sticking into me. And he's like, okay, get out of here.
The panic. And she's like, but you're heavier than I thought. Well, and here's the thing, like, this is also another thing that made me think about, like, Poppy, she pretends that things aren't there, right, to save face and to keep comfort. So maybe she doesn't want to make him feel bad, to be like, I totally felt that, but
oh yeah,
we're gonna let it slide, honey.
Yeah, that's subcontext here. We can infer
for sure. And you can tell that Tora was totally fine with it because he's sitting there like laughing to himself in the background.
Well, like, we know that, like, he's obviously sexually attracted to her.
Yeah,
he knows this. She was pressed up against an alley wall, like, like she felt something then too. This is not the first time. Then she climbed him in his apartment, and then she climbed him in her apartment, and like there have been multiple occasions where like Poppy has had enough
encounters.
Yes, good word. I like that word. Yeah, so yeah, this isn't new.
This is true. That's very true. But she does bring up a valid point. She says next, my scooter's crawling like a snail because I'm having trouble balancing us, and we barely made it out of town. And he's like, oh, my bad. I guess you'll have to share your diet plan with me now. And I loved this part because it tells me that, like, one, he's back to his usual, like the way he talks, and they're bantering again. So like, this was my clue, like, okay, let's take this steam off. Let's take the edge off for this. And let's
is like their comic relief. Like, they literally have comic relief in their relationship.
Yes.
But things get a little bit too real. One of them cracks a joke in some capacity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when this switchover happens, Emily, I'm constantly reminded, ever since you brought it up, of the power balance shifts in their relationship. And this whole thing where the whole scene, the whole scooter scene, is this back and forth of their power balancing.
Which is why they're literally like relationship switches. Like they kind of take those back and forth, and it's so cute.
Yeah, they balance each other out very well in that way. But when I was talking in my analysis, one of the things, and I'll just be very brief about the bits with Poppy, but she starts out very very strong, and she's like, we're gonna do this, I've got this. She starts out really confident, and then she becomes less and less sure of herself as time goes on. And the thing that I liked about that was that Tora yes, there's all this sexual tension and everything between them. And yes, you could take the scooter ride as a total metaphor for their upcoming sexcapades, if you will. But I think it's important that when she's feeling unsure about herself, he really steps in and like he'll crack a joke at his own expense so that she feels less tense, less unsure of herself, and he encourages her. So I really like that, you know, at this point, she's kind of like, okay, I'm tapping out. I need you to tap in. And he does. He does.
And boy, does he take the lead. Like when he says,
oh, yeah.
Like her little like bitch get on the back, like little scooter at the beginning was like laughable. And now he's just like, hop on, sweetheart. And I'm like melting. I'm like, okay, that's how you do it, Poppy. That's how you get me on the back of that scooter. Like, you gotta lay on that smooth hop on, sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh God.
Like Cordy could
Jesus.
pull that off. Like,
oh, 100%.
I would be on the back of that scooter in like seconds flat. I would be right up on there.
God.
I'm the total opposite. If someone tells me what to do, I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. I will get on the scooter of my own volition, and then I'll go on the scooter.
Fun fact. Okay, sorry, I'm going to tell. This is a very personal story, so I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with the episode. I'm sorry, people, but it's really cute, and I love my parents, and they were adorable. So the way my parents met, they'd known each other as friends for a while, but they went out to this place called Rocky Point growing up, this little beach town. And my dad had a motorcycle. He was this like 5'4" little guy, but he was like a bodybuilder, and he had this like cool motorcycle. And my mom was this little mouse. Like she didn't talk. My dad knew her, but she never said a word to him. And my dad pulled up on his motorcycle and said to her best friend, you know, do you want to go for a ride? And she was like, no, I don't want to. And he was like, oh, okay. And then my mom stepped up and said, why didn't you ask me? I'd like to go. And like, she had never spoken before. And my dad was just like, yeah, please get on. Like, great. Yes. Awesome. And like, it was the first time she had like taken like any kind of initiative, but she was like, yeah, I want to ride on your motorcycle. And like, it was just like, she just spoke up, and it was just really cute. Seeing this dynamic was like really adorable because like she was this one, she pulled up and was like, get on. And like it's just cute to see that like kind of shift between, again, power shifts I think are really cute, like macho man, but like the woman taking charge for like the start of a relationship or something. I think that's just really adorable.
Absolutely.
So, like, yeah, I thought the scene was cute.
I love that so much.
Also, to me, like when Tora references her diet plan, I feel like he's remembering way back when I think it was at Elsa's restaurant where she's like, oh, I'm on a diet or something. Right? Did she say that?
Yep.
So I think he obviously recognized back then that she wasn't telling the truth about it, but he's still kind of like ribbing her about that. You pretended you were on a diet.
It was cute. I love any kind of callback to the beginning of or like earlier chapters. It's just nice.
All right. And then Poppy figures out, like, wait, you can ride? Like it dawns on her. She's like, wait, what? You can ride too? And she's like, well, why didn't you tell me? Well, what'd you think? Only you and fucking Cordy have a motorcycle license?
A little jealousy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some definite salty jealousy in there.
Yeah, that interaction at the restaurant when Poppy was with Cordy, yeah, Tora was not feeling his best that night. And
yeah. Gosh.
Cordy was specifically rubbing it in back then. So
yeah. She's
up. Give me more.
You know what? I'd be down for more of that too. Like I want her to like poke him a little bit and be like, what? I could just as easily take this from you if I wanted to.
That jealousy trope just gets me. And like, I know it's like not like in real life, I'd be like, dude, back it up. But like,
yeah,
I'm like, this is like, please keep going, like banter, fight for her. I'm good for it. Like, keep
going.
Yeah.
It's a great fantasy element for sure. For sure. Oh my gosh. And she's like, he's like, well, she says, but you could have said something. You made me give you a ride all this way for nothing. So she's like, dude, come on. Like you were watching me struggle and you didn't say a damn thing. I thought, good on you, Poppy, for calling him out on that. She's like, do you know how tiring it is to balance a scooter with a stupid boulder at the back? I bet you were laughing yourself the entire ride. Oh, he was laughing all right. Oh God, I love them. But But you know, now things get serious because Tora's like, okay, let's go. And he's got those little blush marks on his face again, and he's like realizing again just how close she is. And he's like, you want to hold on to me? She's like, do I have to?
Why are you asking that, Poppy? Like the entire
agree.
fandom wishes they could be in your place. What do you mean you have
agree.
to?
I think this is still part of her that's like uncomfortable with the incredible closeness of this. And I think Tora is still a little like eensy weensy little bit uncomfortable. Like he likes it, don't get me wrong. And obviously he's the more experienced sexually in this scenario, but I constantly come back to Poppy is the one factor in his life that makes him feel like a kid again. And so he doesn't know how to do this whole crush thing. And so of course he stumbles like a teenage boy. And I love this.
Me too. So I have a giant tangent here. So
Mhm. Please tangent away.
So well, it's at least related this time. So I like the fact that she says, do I have to like touch you? Because to me it shows that like touch is still, so you know when someone you don't know touches you, like you notice it very easily versus like a significant other or a parent or someone, like you actually become familiarized with the touch that you almost don't notice it as much. It's familiar. Right. It's kind of like it's background noise sometimes. When someone you're just aware of touches you, it's very poignant. It's very it's like a spark. So I like the fact that the proximity, the physical proximity affects both of them, because like it's showing that like they're interested, they are aware of each other, like their touch means something. And I think touch is a really big like component in the story throughout like the entire thing. Like there's a lot of touching. And so I think that touch is kind of a love language for them. So I was earlier today, I was going back and looking at some previous episodes, and I went back to the balcony scene with the hand holding. And there was, it started off with that inner monologue from Tora saying fear and intimidation. Like that's the only language I've ever known. It shows him wrapping his hand. And that started me thinking about what touch meant to him before he met Poppy versus what touch means to him now. And we see him then starting to reach out more. Like before that, he was grabbing Poppy's hand at Quincy's. He's holding her hand. At Regina's peak, he's holding her, and he's realizing that touch can be a good thing, and it can be a way to communicate with somebody and a way to show your feelings. For Poppy, besides punching him when he's being an asshole, she touches him gently a lot. At Alice's when she's mad, she touches his lips. When she's at the restaurant, when he falls down and is sick, she's brushing his hair back. In the apartment, she's running her hands through his hair when he's on her lap. Even the previous episode from this one, when they're at the gas station, she touches his arm when she apologizes, and like it makes it a more valid a gesture, a sincere gesture, because she says I'm sorry and she touches him. It's a connection. It's like I mean it. So touch is big, and I was curious what you guys thought of that concept of touch being a love language, or just something that Poppy and Tora use to communicate.
Jen, you want to go?
No, I definitely feel like Tora, I mean, I think he can't like keep his hands off her. So you can tell that he's just like, oh, this is wonderful. So I think, like you said, I don't think he's ever had that with anybody. And I think he just is like amazed by that from the very first handhold scene, So I think, multiple people on Facebook have like screenshotted all the touching and stuff. And it's great. Those moments are so sweet and so cute between them.
Yeah. He actually like requests touching in a not sexual way yet.
And I mean, like, of course I'm going to come at this from a therapist point of view, but when I look at the touch scenes and everything, I love your theory about like, she's changing how he views touch and how he views sincerity, right? I also kind of, to add to that, like if you look at the times that they have touched, it's when there's been a very tense moment, either on the very heels of it or upcoming. And because I'm thinking about, even the balcony scene, like she started freaking out about the things that he was saying to her about people crawling up your up your balcony and breaking into your house. And then he decides like, oh no, here, come here. You're freaking me out, you know? So he's trying to ground her, and she's done this with him. Every time she touches him, it grounds him. We saw this in the alleyway. So when either one of them is getting kind of escalated emotionally, the other person can bring them back to reality and say, hey, I'm here.
I really love that, because I'm thinking, so when things get too when things get too tense in the, are we treading into uncomfortable, you're not emotionally okay with this territory, they deflect with humor. When things are into, is this like emotionally scarring for you or triggering or just hard for you to talk about, then the touch comes in. It's amazing how they're like counterplays to the emotional, you know, mentalities that they're going through.
Yeah. And I know that we focus a lot on touch in terms of what Tora and how he views it, but I also want to think about Poppy in this equation too, because I don't know what kind of touch she experienced with Julri, and she's probably been touch starved in a lot of ways too, because her father's been gone for many, many years.
And there was that scene where when she's by the bedside, she's touching him and
right. Mom is gone. Granny, she hardly sees. So I really believe that there's this side of her too that struggles with that, and she sees that in Tora. Like I don't think she consciously sees it, but she feels the need to reach out to him and touch him in that moment.
And she kind of, I can see where that's definitely true, because she specifically says it on the balcony. Like sometimes you just need some touch. Like, don't you?
Yes.
Like, yeah. So I 100% agree.
Oh, that's so well said. Yeah, and for me, what this also reminds me of, it tying into what you were saying, Patty, about Tora being like a teenager, with this being his first real love. So I know, I've mentioned a lot how I grew up very religious, and I grew up very gender segregated. Like we didn't talk to boys, or boys, let alone touch anyone. Touch was considered like you don't do it at all until you're married. So when I met my husband and touched him, it was like, incredibly overwhelming.
Sparks.
Yeah, like because it was the first time I touched a guy. Maybe I would hug my father, but that was it. So so I feel like how every touch that they do is like, plus it's also their first, like love. So it's,
it's very new and butterflies.
Yep.
Goodness. And so she decides, Poppy decides like, okay, well, I guess I got to do this. I mean, logic takes over at a certain point. And she says, pardon me then. Like, I love that she's like, oh, pardon me, I'm touching you.
I can't.
And then this one, like, oh my God. Okay, I had to look this up because I didn't know what pillion means. She's like, I've never actually been pillioned before. I'm a little nervous. Are you? And I'm like,
100% sex joke.
The fuck does that mean?
I thought like if piston comes to mind, it's completely different. But like that
was the visual I had too. I was like, what are we doing here?
I wish there was like a zoom in on Tora's face when she says, okay, pardon me, because I feel like we get one of his infamous eye rolls there.
100%.
Oh God, I could totally see that. And if we're taking this whole scooter ride as a sexual innuendo, it makes sense that, Poppy, she's the less experienced one. And she's like, I'm a little nervous. Are you? And he's like, nope. I'm good. And in the next panel, the look on his face, he's like, doing this.
He looks so badass on a scooter. I don't know how it's possible. I look like a dork riding mine. I've got like I have literally the same exact helmet as Poppy. Like I look like a fucking dork, and he looks like he's on a hog. Like he's riding a Harley in that image. It's just you don't see it.
I know.
Like, in his mind, that is a monster motorcycle.
He's so alpha male in this. I can't handle it.
Right, we got that vroom, vroom, vroom all the time.
I know. And then Poppy's like, well, hold up now. Like, don't get your hopes up. This old gal isn't anywhere near as fast as you're. And then he just takes the hell off. Like,
but I think Poppy doesn't understand the capability of this man, I think any old gal in his hands would do just fine. I don't think
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And so they're going, and apparently he's going faster. It feels fast to Poppy.
So I want to jump in here again because
go ahead. Go ahead.
But there's right before they start talking again, like as he's zooming away, she's mid scream, and then that scream turns into a full-on laugh, and it is adorable.
Aww.
Like I can picture her going from like screaming to like, oh my god, wait, this is kind of fun, and then like she's into it, she's laughing, she's having fun, like I can see like every like hair flying in the wind as she just like lets loose. And it's fun to be a passenger. You don't have control. Like he's going, you don't, every swerve you're not prepared for, every stop you're not prepared for, the speed up, you have zero control, and that's like exhilarating. I can feel the adrenaline she's having right now, just having fun.
Yeah. And we can tell Tora is way into it too, because hello, I feel like we need like a little like bell every time there's sexual innuendo, but it would just be a podcast full of bells.
This is number 3 so far. I have the
3
notes.
Okay. And he says, how am I doing? Slower, faster? Tell me how you want it, sweetheart. And I died. I was like, oh shit, he went there.
Yeah, she recognized it too. So I'm glad that Poppy was able to call him out.
I know. And so she tries to help. You're not even going that fast. And he's like, whatever, you're screaming.
That's number
like,
4.
Whatever the fuck is making you scream like that, I want it. Well, I think we know what's gonna happen. He's gonna go for the vocals.
I want it too.
Oh hell. Yeah, this just tells me of all the plans that he has, and I think we all know that Poppy is in good hands when it comes to that, and he's gonna make sure she's well taken care of.
Oh hell yeah. When she says this is new and scary to me, like, not for long, sweetheart.
Oh god.
The adrenaline rush. Oh man. And then we get to that's right.
It like that completely went right over my head because I have a potty mouth, so like I didn't even know.
Where?
Went over her head.
Here, Patty, go ahead.
So she says, "Oh crap, your hair's gonna get tangled. I'll tie it up for you." And so for Poppy, because she's little Miss Oh Fudge Biscuits, you know, saying "oh crap" is very much a it's very much a curse word for her. Yeah. She's kind of like letting caution throw to the wind and whatnot. Oh my gosh. And then of course Tora's just like, whatever, leave it.
Which, okay, so I was a little confused here because his hair is tied up. It's in a ponytail. Like, did she mean like in a bun? Like I was a little, I just, or maybe like tendrils were falling.
Right again. More braids.
Yeah, so I was a little confused by that, but also it was really cute. So, you know.
I wonder if it was because like it was blowing in her face, because even though he's got a ponytail, his hair's long enough. Like it's gonna be all up in her face if she's too close.
And yeah, it swirls. It goes like a crazy little. The wind doesn't just go back.
But I mean, he does have a point. He's like, no, don't. You know, there. This line right here, I took a couple of meanings to it. Like obviously it's practical. He says, leave it. Don't let go of me now. And like, obviously practically not a good idea when you're at highway speeds to let go of the person that you're holding on to. Just be safe, people. Don't do that.
PSA.
But also like, if we take the metaphor of them on the road together, like they have both at this point, Tora has already surrendered to Poppy. He has accepted that she is in his life now and she's just part of it, and, like you were talking about earlier, Emily, about his abandonment issues, this comes up again here where he says, don't let go of me now. Aww. Like, this is his, like, we're on this road together. There's no turning back. I don't want to lose you.
Help. And how unjoyful is that? Like, Joy was like, why are you hanging around me all the time? Why do you want to see my schedule all the time? Like, I'm with my friends, and like Tora's just like, don't let go, like stay with me. And she's just, oh my god, swoon.
right. And he's saying like, you can rely on me, essentially, with this line. And we know that Julri was anything but reliable.
She feels safe with him, and that is the biggest fucking turn on ever. Like, drop my panties. Like, you're gonna take care of me. like I don't need them.
Panties across the globe, just
yep, I feel safe with you. Go to town, my friend.
Oh my God. Yeah. But before I get too sappy, like that moment just really got to me. And I kind of wonder about his squint there. I think it's maybe just because the wind's blowing in his face. Yeah. But look at Poppy's face here as we go through the panels. It's like that strange realization. And then she blushes because I think she's thinking this phrase that he said is loaded too. And then she decides to wrap her whole arms around him. And to me, this was Poppy's white flag drop. This is where she decided.
They're both all in. In this moment, they are both all in. He's like, don't let go of me. And he's like super concentrated. And she's like, she's literally embracing him and the idea of him. Like, she's like, okay, I'm all in too. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but maybe I'm.
No, I'm with you 100% on that with this.
Oh, it's so cute.
Gonna cry.
I think Tora's squint may have been him, like seeing how she's going to react and his tension for what her reaction is going to be.
That's a good point. He could very well do that.
I'm just hyper because it's sexy.
And like he gets to play the hero in this moment.
Oh, yeah.
He really does, because if you look at, like, I'm always reminded of his jacket that she still has crumpled on the floor or in her hamper. It says Superman on the back, right? And he's given her his cape. And so he has popped in whenever she has needed him. And now he really gets to play that role. He gets to embrace that role here because she's accepted it.
But the question is, did he take Quincy's advice and wear nothing under that cape?
I mean, we all know that he goes around buck naked under those pants. So
so he is literally the commando cape wearing hero that Quincy wanted him to be. He's just he's that already. It's just Quincy doesn't realize it yet.
Well, I think here today the cape is the pants, because the pants are the real hero right now, because I don't know how it held in that erection. Let's just be real.
Like jeans of steel.
Yes. I want to know what that fabric is made out of.
Chastity jeans, yeah.
It's probably like some like fancy ass Kevlar. Oh my God. Anyway. Sorry guys.
Digress.
And now, after this totally intimate moment, we get to experience visually. This is where I wish Peg were here.
Oh my God, she's so good with that stuff.
Yeah, we get to see the landscapes, and like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I love the open road and I love nature and I love being out, especially at night. Love it. It's so quiet. And like, they're on this winding road together out in this gorgeous landscape, and I'm just like, I can breathe easier just looking at this panel.
We can. I don't know about Tora, which we see later.
Yeah.
Again, so I don't know if any of you have been on a scooter before, or a motorcycle or something open air. It is a fully sensory experience. You smell everything, and like, so there are pockets of air as you're driving. So where I grew up, we had a lot of like kind of little swampy areas. We had a lot of little like ponds and little lakes where we had frogs, and in the spring we called them peepers. They kind of like they go like peep 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 peep. And as you drive by, you'd like hear those sounds. You'd smell like that kind of algae scent when you pass there. Then all of a sudden you'd get under an overpass and you'd smell like some of that exhaust or some of the like concrete smell. And then you get into the tree area and smell like the woods, the rot, the leaves, decaying leaves. And as you move, you like, it's literally, you're just assaulted by smells and sounds and different pockets of warm air, cold air. So looking at this winding road, it was like literally I could feel and smell all the things that they're going through. Like, it's very different than in a city when you're driving a scooter and you just have like exhaust and hot concrete and like loud humans. And so it's a lot of fun, at least for Poppy. And I don't know if Tora appreciates it.
We'll find out later. One other thing, and this just dawned on me right now as I'm looking at this panel. of the straight and then winding road, this kind of makes me think of like what we have, the obstacles that are up ahead. It's been smooth sailing up until this point, and I feel like,
don't do this to me, Patty.
I'm sorry.
Damn it. Take that back.
The angst queen comes back in with reality. So if we see this winding path, but here's the thing, I know they will survive it. I know they will get through it because they work well together as a team. So fear not, y'all. But that winding road made me think of like, yeah, there's some obstacles ahead. And I think like, is that a damn like, you guys see it in the middle of the road? I don't know if this is intentional. This is just me being silly.
A giant bush.
Yes.
I'm like, represents Vincent.
I am like, is that a tumbleweed? Do they have tumbleweeds in Naryn?
It's just a major roadblock they're gonna have to face.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it was about. That's just a tree growing through. It's fighting back. Nature fighting back through the concrete.
Yeah. Well, and like this whole scene right here, especially this part. Of course, I have my own like tinfoil theories about how is this connected to Ashura's bride. And like my main thing here is that we're getting increasingly more intimate as they spend time traveling together. And we saw this with Ulan and Yuwa when they were traveling through the forest. There's lots of themes of hidden identities because Ulan and Yuwa didn't share the whole truth of who they were in the beginning. And then with Tora and Poppy, there's this kind of unknown identity, right? So we don't know a lot about, well, we know a lot about Tora's lineage, or at least like way back, but we don't know about his parents. We don't even know his last name.
We don't know any of this stuff. We know nothing about his perspective. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of unknowns with Poppy's family. So, to me, this was like,
maybe she's
a modern, right. She could be, who knows? And so it made me think of that. And like, I love that they're still on a steed. It may not be Kara, but it is a little scooter. I'm going to lovingly name that scooter Kara just for my own.
So I think that name means black because the horse is black.
Really? Okay.
So I'm wondering if there's like an alternative in like Mongolian or something that means like white. So we could like name the scooter.
Oh, that would be cute.
Something cute. That way it could be like the great mechanical grandchild of Tora.
Complete with making sure that the love of your life trips on a rock.
Also, I kind of like the idea. Yes, that great grand eroded rock of Yua's. I 100% stand by that theory that the rock that Poppy tripped over is the same rock that Yua tripped over. But so now I'm thinking I like the idea of Poppy on a white steed, whereas like Ulan was on like the black dark horse. He was like the dark demon daddy, and then like Poppy's like, no, I'm the princess charming on the white steed for Tora.
Oh my gosh. Love that. And she's like showing him her kingdom. So I kind of like that reverse parallel. Because this is her domain. Like she's seen his kingdom. Now she's taking her to his.
Now we just need the crown jewels to prove his kingdom.
His when they were in Arrow Street, like at the beginning of the season, everything was red. Now we have, all the blues and the cools.
Yeah.
Totally opposite environments.
You're taking over Saucy's color theory.
Yeah, right. Yes.
With it.
Oh my gosh. And then we go into more of nature, and clearly there are frogs present and there's rustling. And I just want to point this out because I think it's hilarious. I love that Lily had to put this note of like the wind is blowing, guys.
So I understand why she did that, because this exact scene reminded me of as they're approaching. Maybe it wasn't as they're approaching the lake. At one point in Ashura's Bride, I thought it was when they're getting close to the lake, there were these little like cree, cree, cree sound effects.
Oh,
yeah.
The trees, I think, creaking in the wind or something. And I was like, is it like a locust? Is it a bug? Like, I wasn't sure what it was.
Gotcha.
That ribbit and the whoosh reminded me of that setting for Ashura's Bride as well. Like the windy, tree, buggy kind of area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If she hadn't put in wind, we would have all been like, who's in the bushes?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Poppy's
Who
mom
is watching them? I mean, here's the deal. It's still a small town. It's still entirely possible that somebody will notice as they're pulling up to her place. Like, I don't think it's anyone nefarious. I think it might just be a busybody neighbor or something like that. But we have arrived at the grand estate of Miss Poppy and Granny.
They're pulling up and they have a little pond there, and there's like ribbit, and Tora is thinking to himself, Christ, where all the damn frogs hiding at? And yeah, just the way that he says it, you could already tell he is not super comfortable with wildlife. Getting anxious about a bunch of frogs.
Oh my gosh.
Poppy putting away her scooter, and he's like, is it mating? It sounds like there's hundreds, but I only counted 15. The fuck? Is it mating season or what? And then it's like deep mafia thoughts.
Oh my God. So this part, it cracked me up for a couple of reasons. One, because he's individually counting these fucking frogs. Like, who does that? Who does that? And then he's like, why are there so many? Is it mating season? Like, Tora, do you watch Discovery Channel in your off time? Like, is that your secret nerd hobby?
It sounds like he's in like panic mode. He's kind of like,
yeah.
From my situation, I have to assess things. I have to take charge. How many frogs are there? How many do I have to take out? Like, if they're gonna keep ribbiting all night, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna have to kill them all. How many do I need to kill? What would I use to kill them? Like, he needs to take charge of the situation because he's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. He's clearly not comfortable with this. And of course, hey, what is this sexual innuendo? What, number 4 or 5?
I think this was 6. I missed this one. I just had like mind on sex. It wasn't necessarily an innuendo. It was just a reference to sex.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it was hilarious because I went back through to one of the Patreon comments because somebody commented on my thread, and it was Ezra, and she says, wait a second, this is the second time frogs have popped up in the narrative. And the last time it was because the frogs are boiling and they are the frogs. So if it's frog mating season, are they still the frogs?
I love that. Yes.
It's Tora and Poppy mating season. Thank you very much.
We're just irascible. It's like beyond.
We are not.
That was Lily. Lily wrote this episode. She did this for us. So
yes. She knows her audience. Oh
yeah, and he's being such a city boy here. He's like, can't believe I missed the stupid city lights and the noise. Where's the effing sirens when you need to hear them? And it's so cute because I am a city girl and I grew up in Brooklyn. So yes, I totally relate.
When we visit my parents, they had a place in New York City. I grew up, my grandparents lived in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, so I'd sleep there on the weekends, and I grew up in a very nature suburb area, so like crickets and bugs and red frogs, like that sound is comforting to me. It took me a while to get used to the sirens, but I eventually got used to it, and like you sleep, you don't even notice it, like you hear nothing, it's just like calming background noise. My husband cannot sleep in the city. He's just like, all night he just hears things. I'm like, you just gotta learn to tune it out. And no.
I am exactly like your husband, because I distinctly remember for my 30th birthday, this was a long time ago, but my girlfriends and we went to New Orleans, right? And I was excited about it. It was a lot of fun. But the thing I could not stand, because we stayed in the French Quarter, was the sirens were going off every 5 minutes, and I had to go buy earplugs because I'm like, I cannot fucking do this. It is so noisy. Like, I cannot deal.
Yeah, you get used to your environment.
You do. And I live in a more rural area now, and zero regrets. Like, I am totally Poppy here. I will deal with the critters. It is totally fine if I don't have to listen to city sounds.
Yep. It's really cute. And Poppy is standing out there and he's looking at her and he's like, and none of this makes her even a little nervous, which is adorable and hilarious that this like big giant man is felled by like a couple of little creatures. He's like looking to her, but clearly it's having the opposite effect on her because she is closing her eyes, she's inhaling, she's having a Zen moment.
Totally.
And he just like, he takes it in the most complimentary way possible. He's like, yes, that explains the hamster balls. Because Poppy has been developing a core of steel living amongst the frogs. This is his interpretation.
Yes. I mean, honestly, we saw some of it. Like she just flat out like smashed a cockroach in her hands, and I'm like, damn, girl.
She smashed it. She held it. It was crawling in her fist.
Oh,
like,
we don't have to talk about it. We really don't.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she is fearless when it comes to this. And
like, I identify strongly with Poppy. Like Poppy is like my she I just like I feel like I just understand her. I feel like a lot of her life experiences are very similar to mine. And so we just had a bat in our house the other night. I woke up.
Oh my God.
Went outside and there was a bat flying in our, like, we have really tall ceilings. He was just like hanging out there, flying around. And my thought, I'm thinking like, okay, do we get him out of here? Do I open a window? We have to call like animal control. Like, is there a way for me to get him out safely? And my husband locked himself in the bathroom. And I'm like, are you? He's like, no, you need to like help me out here. Nothing. And like, but like critters can be fun when you're used to them. Tora does not seem used to critters at all. Bugs, little frogs. I'm sure mice would terrify him.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that. It's so funny. And like it reminded me of that conversation in the, I think it was episode 13. I know I bring up that episode a lot, but where they're talking about Quincy is talking about, I'm gonna tell the first girl you bring home that you used to torture spiders. And I'm like, was it torture or you were just really freaked the fuck out and needed to get rid of it post haste?
Yeah, I want that backstory. I'm sensing like something traumatic, like he was stuck in that like little dungeon cave thing, and like there were a lot of bugs down there, and that terrified him. Or like, I'm waiting for something like some horrible reason he doesn't like bugs, but maybe I'm just being like extra.
I could see that. I could totally see that. Okay, this next panel where he's looking at Poppy's lovely bits and then the scooter. I'm like, okay, maybe the whole episode has just kind of primed me to be ultra perv this entire time, but like I'm like, is he checking out the back end of that scooter? Because like I'm not saying like maybe he's car sexual. I don't know. He seems to really dig cars, and like as a bona fide car woman and a car woman married to a car man, I can tell you there is definite sexual energy when you get a car you really like.
You were like looking at the literal junk in that trunk. Yes,
absolutely. Like I will not drive a car where I do not like the way the back end looks. And that's, yeah, I know it sounds completely insane and I should probably be locked away, but
have you sought therapy for this besides your own
about that? But I don't know, maybe I'm probably overthinking this, but I got a crack out of that because I'm like, I see Poppy's beautiful figure in this panel, and then he says like, sorry sweetheart. He calls the scooter sweetheart.
So cute.
He's like, you're cute as a button, just like your owner. I'm like, this man is car sexual. It's fine.
You can also take it as like he's super sensitive because he doesn't want to hurt the scooter's feelings. Because I'm going to need proper transportation at a place like this. And he's like fiddling with his phone, so he's probably texting something or fixing it, whatever, calling Darlene. But yeah, so I took it as like he's very sensitive. We have this like concept of Judaism, like about if you're like sensitive to objects, then you'll learn how to be sensitive to people. Like that you have to kind of take their feelings into consideration, even though they don't have feelings. So I view Tora as just being like nice to the scooter, you know, like he doesn't want to insult it.
Which is actually, oh, go ahead.
I was like that growing up. I'd feel bad if like something happened to like a chair. Like, I'm sorry, chair. Like, I know it doesn't actually care, but like, it's just that idea of like anything being like, I had an active imagination. It's like I personified a lot of things that were not real, but I can see, like, that's why I like the scooter's so cute. Like, it's a she, has feelings, you know, you have to take her easy. So
yeah. And this is a great parallel to episode 1 when Poppy is talking to the scooter when it's like crashed into the bushes. She's like, I'm so sorry.
And a match made in heaven. They both care about the scooters.
And
They do.
his comment too, the sorry sweetheart, reminded me of, I don't think it was the first episode, but that first scene, the opening scene when he's driving back.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, sweetheart, nothing personal. And he's kind of saying the same thing to the scooter, like, nothing personal, sweetheart, but like, I need something better than this ride, and you're just not gonna cut it here. But like, it was like apologizing, like that line connected, that tone seemed similar to me.
For sure.
And now Poppy has been, I think, opening up like the trunk or whatever, the storage thing. And she's like, Tora, you brought your T-Rex jammies with you. Why are you so cute?
Oh my God. I love that she brought these back. I'm like, yes.
And now, like, yes, anytime. I mean, dinosaurs have just become an emblem of Midnight Poppyland. So
many
every like there's on the Midnight Poppyland Facebook groups, every 5 seconds someone shares like I went to the store and I had to buy this dino shirt for my baby because of Tora. I bought this dino water ball, this dino toy. Like dino sales have for sure spikes because of one t-shirt in Midnight Poppyland.
Oh my gosh. And not that I want to get too far into it because we'll find out later, but clothes and embarrassment about clothes seems to be a micro theme in this episode,
and in general. I mean, about her, you know, with Erdine giving her clothes, like the whole clothing like stigma in this.
For sure. But I love that, like, yes, Poppy's teasing him here, but she's also like, you're so cute. Oh my God.
Which, okay, another fun fact. I remember going clothing shopping with my husband when like we were first dating-ish, and like my husband's he's like a cranky softie. And I remember saying like he tried something on and he came out to show me and I'm like, oh my God, like you look so cute, like how adorable. And like a lady came up and was like, honey, like boys don't like to be called cute, like, you know, he like you should call him like handsome or something masculine. And my husband was like, I like being called cute. I was like, no lady, you don't know, like maybe Tora likes being called cute.
Well, she's like butting her nose into your business, but okay.
Big strong man.
These relatives. And she's also doing the opposite of what she did in the restaurant, because at the restaurant she was mad at him and she called his dino pajamas like stupid or childish or whatever.
Right.
Argued over it. So now I think maybe she's like, you know, this is her true self when she's not agitated and irritated. This is when she's like in her normal kind mood. Now she's being nice, you know, and she's being affirming of his clothing cuteness.
And I feel like this shirt is telling. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it as usual, but like he had his little dino shirt when he was little, which was probably like some kind of comfort for him. And then when he was sick, he wore his dino shirt, which again seemed comforting. And I think it's telling that he grabbed this when he was going to find Poppy, because he was like panic packing. Like he packed a quick bag and was like, I need to get Poppy. So in his panic packing, he grabbed a comfort blanket, a comfort shirt, something that he like made him feel nice and secure. And I think that's cute that like this little, maybe I'm making it up, but like this dino shirt seems like a security blanket to him.
Oh,
probably feels like, I don't know if he suspected that he would end up in Poppy's house, but if he did, that would be a reflection of how comfortable he feels around her, that he can bring that.
Sure.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next episode because I'm like hoping for cuddles and pajamas, but anyway.
Yes, here for the cuddles and pajamas, please, for the love of God. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. I will just imagine it in my mind until it does happen.
Yeah, so he looks like annoyed and he's like, oh, I was gonna tie it up and dump it into the sea or some shit. Like, no, you were not.
We've got the Poppy sarcastic font. She's like, oh, is that what you were gonna do?
And then this is adorable. Poppy tells him we have a grumpy old man-hating cat called Ernest Herringway, which is the cutest name ever in the whole entire world. Ernest Herringway.
Oh my God. This cat is immortal. He shall, I swear to God, he's going to show up at some point. He's going to come home early the next day or something and be like, who are you? You're not Julri. Who is this? And I do question, I'm like, is he a man-hating cat or is he a Julri-hating cat?
Right.
I know, I hope he loves Tora.
But he is out for the night.
Right. He's at the neighbors. And now she starts telling him about what's going to greet him in the house. She's like, I know it shouldn't bother you, because she is assuming that Tora is a big tough man, not scared of anything.
Right.
There might be a few bugs and critters and whatnot in the house. And maybe a snake or two, although they're mostly harmless. Just don't pick anything up. And Tora's like, bugs.
Oh God. Bugs.
Puppy is not
snakes.
seeing the expression on his face.
Oh my God. I love this. And then the creepy creak of the old house door as he's thinking about the bugs.
And there's more. She's like, there's no hot water too, but I can boil some if you want to take a bath. And he's like, no lights as well. She's like, just these old lamps. Not the most well lit, but it does the job. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Poppy's house is, she wasn't kidding when she was talking about like it being low key, let's just say.
Who would have been fine in this house? Like I think I would be fine with bugs and critters and no hot water.
Be fine.
Bugs. Sorry. If I'm camping, if I'm outside, yes, fine. If I'm inside, no.
Okay.
I mean, it does kind of like, the way it's kind of set up is like mildly like, this is the horror movie cabin where people go to die. And I'm sure that's what Tora is thinking right now. He's like, I'm going to die. This is how it ends. All these years surviving the mafia. This is how I go.
Mothered to death by frogs and spiders.
I say, living in Florida, bugs are kind of just a given. So just
Yeah. I believe that wholeheartedly. And alligators. I had a coworker who just moved to Florida, and so we were giving her a hard time about gators. Like everything about her going away party was gator themed. We even put it on her cake because she's Canadian. So like her dealing with Florida, it's so opposite of what she's used to. I'm like, you're not going to get any snow down there, but you're going to get gators.
Yep, we've been traveling this summer, and every time we go to like a lake where people are swimming, my daughter's like, "Are there alligators in there?" I'm like, "No, sweetheart, only at home."
Ask questions.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we live on like a little small like man dug lake, and we've got alligators in our backyard, literally. So,
like, how do you deal with that? Like, I'm so not used to that.
They're not, I mean, they don't really bother you if you don't bother them. So
okay. Good to know.
I would just not live there. I cannot. Sorry. I can pet dogs. I can have cats. I don't kill bugs. So like when we lived in Memphis, there were tons of cockroaches. Like everyone had cockroaches, and I didn't want to kill bugs. So my husband would have killed them at that point. So I was like, to prevent that, I would trap them in a cup and I would take them out, which was like probably the most noble thing I've done in my life, because I was so disgusted by them and so like appalled. It would take me like half an hour to get one bug out because I was like so terrified. But anyway, like, yes, no, I cannot. Gators are.
We used to have a Great Dane, and we'd put him out, like we'd let him go outside at night, run one more time before bedtime. And we didn't have a fence before my daughter was born. And one night I went out with him and I heard this giant splash. So I think a gator was like hanging out on the bank of our property and like jumped in the water when our dog came outside. So I was like,
oh my God.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to say that he got eaten by an alligator.
No, not I mean, you know, in theory they could take down a Great Dane, but you know, not typically. So
I've heard they also climb fences. Is that true?
I mean, I don't know. I've seen the videos, but it's not like a normal thing that happens.
Gotcha.
So.
Oh Lord. So this is what Tora is imagining in his mind.
Basically.
I'm going to die here.
And Poppy also explains another thing with the lights. She's like, plus I'm not really in the mood to talk, so I don't want anyone to see I'm home. And she turns on the light. And Tora is like, first he's like, what kind of bugs, right? His super anxiety thing. And he's like, didn't know being in the mood to talk is a thing. So I think he's saying that because he's like never in the mood to talk. So he doesn't even understand what it's like to be in the mood to talk.
He's like, that's a thing? Okay. And then he goes right back to the bugs. What kind of bugs?
Poor guy. Poor dude. I feel you,
very
Tora.
concerned about these bugs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jen, your turn.
Sorry, just had to switch with the partner. He's getting ready for bed. So, all right.
Totally fine.
All right. So, yeah, so I think it is amazing like how rustic her house is. I don't know if any of us were quite expecting that. So she says maybe not for you as far as talking. And then she's going to get showered. Make yourself at home.
I thought of right away. Like Tora's probably like just thinking of that image right now. That's what I was thinking, at least.
To soothe himself.
I feel like it's a level of trust. I mean, this is the second time she's showered. I think when he spit juice all over her at the like market, she went home and showered. But this is like she just walks in and is like, make yourself at home, I'm gonna go shower, and like pieces out.
Yeah.
Like, very trusting.
Or I don't know, maybe that's like, here's the bathroom if you need it, here's the kitchen if you want a snack. Like
she doesn't even notice his anxiety.
Yeah, it does show an incredible amount of trust. And that, like she says a little bit later, not to get too ahead, but she's like, he's not a stranger anymore.
Yet she showered at home when he was a stranger, kind of.
Yeah, so like balls.
Yeah, hamster balls. Very much.
So we see her bedroom, I assume, and we see some clothes on the bed where it looks like she's been changing. And she says, crap, none of my old clothes seem to fit me anymore. They're just either too tight or too juvenile or too worn out. And we can see some cute little outfits that she's got. And yeah, I do feel bad because she's still like judging herself on that.
Yeah, like I felt that in my soul because like I'm just going to be real. I've gained quite a bit of weight over the years, and it's always so sad when you're like, I can't wear this anymore. This isn't working. And, or you're like, I don't even have that style anymore. Like it's like 5-6 years old, and it's like, it's not me anymore. But I do love in this panel, if you zoom in a little bit, that little t-shirt that's hanging off of the
skull.
Oh
yeah, the skull with the little bow. I'm like, if ever there was a Poppy shirt, because it says cute but hardcore, I will cut you.
Yes.
And then she says, let's see, what about this? Is it too revealing? Maybe I should put on a jacket. So again, like just questioning her choices constantly. But it's so hot and humid in the summer over here. I was thinking about that too with Tora's long sleeve shirt. I'm like,
yeah,
is he gonna sleep in that?
Like
that's funny.
Answer is me.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe she wakes up in the morning and he's shirtless because he was too hot.
Oh, I like that. Let's go down that path. He's not a piece of meat. He's not a piece of meat.
That would be seeing a lot more. He had a tank top last time, so shirtless would be.
Yeah, I don't know if she can handle herself with that.
Oh my god.
So I like how she's commenting on pit stains.
I know.
Yes, thank you. I wish there was some kind of removable thing, because it's like the rest of the outfit is totally fine, and then you have those stains, and it's like, what do you do? So
right, we do better problem. Female industry, or just hygienic industry in general. We need this. Go make it happen.
And I don't want Tora to feel uncomfortable or feel like I'm uncomfortable around him. And then she says she wants to be a little sexier tonight.
Aww.
I love
to hear that.
Yes. Oh my God. I was like, finally, start accepting your sexuality. Start accepting that you actually want to look good around this guy, that you want to impress him, that you maybe just want to feel sexy for the sake of yourself feeling sexy. Go for it. I was so happy about this part.
So I had just been talking with Saucy Tuggles and Blue Caddy, as they're known on Patreon and on Instagram, and they were talking about before this episode came out, like this happened last week, we just happened to be talking about sexuality, feeling good about yourself, like buying lingerie just because you want to buy lingerie, or like just your like, and coming to terms with your body. It changes. And people sometimes give you shitty opinions about them that are none of their business. Like Julri would make comments about what she was wearing.
Right.
So I really appreciated this scene because one, you don't you don't need validation to feel sexy about yourself. You shouldn't need someone to tell you like, yeah, you look sexy, like you should wear these things, like feel good about yourself. Like, but it helps to have supportive people around you, whether they are love interests or just friends or family, to tell you like, hey, you look really good in that, like good for you, or like just not having negative comments. But Tora has literally validated her in nonverbal ways and verbal ways multiple times. Like, he is sexually attracted to her. Like, she has felt that love chub multiple times. Like,
yes.
100%. He has kissed her multiple times. He touches her. He looks at her with longing eyes. That in the alleyway, that like sex stare that was like, should we continue?
Yes.
Look, like, she has been validated enough where she's finally starting to erase the Julri moments of negativity and criticism and like just horrible mindsets, and she's replacing them with new memories of, well, you know, maybe I can wear this, like I feel good in it, and Tor doesn't make me feel bad, like, so maybe I can take this chance and feel
Right.
for him and for me.
Oh. And then she, of course, is questioning that she has all these hangups, which is sad, but at least she realizes it, I guess, and is trying to let go.
Yeah. And this moment, I was just like, oh, honey, we all have those hangups. That's what makes you human.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
it doesn't matter who you are. We've all got some sort of baggage.
Yeah, the why can't I be, what was it, did she say, like a regular person? Like, what does that make me, Poppy? Like, you calling me out? Like, am I an alien? Like,
It's okay.
I'm still normal. Well, normal.
And then she says, Erdine is right. If what I'm wearing makes me feel good, then there's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's right.
Amen, girl. Yeah. Yes.
And then Tora isn't some stranger that I invited into my house that I need to be careful around, at least not anymore. So he is no stranger.
Collective
so nice to hear her say that.
Love that. Love that so much. And she's like, she's kind of having her own little moment of truth here. And Em, I know you kind of went in on Patreon about the white rabbit. So like, what's going on here? I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay, so at the time, I was mostly just like, I was just doing the normal Google thing of like, just rabbits. What do rabbits mean? You know, looking for symbolism and stuff. And then like my mind went to like the Hitachi wand and like rabbit vibrators.
I mean, yes.
There's 100% like a sexual thing for rabbits as well, and people, you know, like the expression like fucking like rabbits, or so she could go either way. But then I kind of went down a rabbit hole. Didn't think about that.
But
yeah, so I went down a rabbit hole, and so I focused on a specific a legend about the jade rabbit. It's a Chinese legend. So this particular legend, I'm going to read it to you real quick because it's quick. The Jade Emperor disguised himself into a poor, starving old man and begged for food from a monkey, an otter, and a jackal, or a fox, and a rabbit. The monkey gathered fruit from the trees. The otter gathered fish from the river. The jackal stole a lizard and a pot of milk curds. The rabbit, though, could only gather grass. Knowing well enough that grass can't be offered as food to humans, the rabbit decided to offer his own body, sacrificing itself into the fire the man had started. Somehow, though, the rabbit wasn't burned. The old man suddenly revealed himself to be the great Jade Emperor. Touched deeply by the rabbit's sacrifice, he sent it to the moon to become the immortal Jade Rabbit. And this rabbit became the companion of the moon goddess. And in this, the rabbit is a sign of selflessness, piety, and sacrifice. And then there's a quote that says, maybe that's why the Jade Rabbit is on the moon, so that no matter where we are on Earth, we always have the ethics of righteousness and self-sacrifice to look up to. So okay, this is like completely insane, but like I just liked the idea that the reason I looked up this specific legend of the moon rabbit, of the Jade Rabbit, was because it's glowing like the moon. Like when I saw that lantern, it literally reminded me of moonlight, and then I thought of this legend. And I think self-sacrifice and like just I think of a lot of characters when I think of self-sacrifice. I wonder about Quincy's role in the future, because he's lived a very privileged life, and I wonder what he's going to have to do. Tora has sacrificed a lot, obviously, for you and for everyone else. Poppy has sacrificed a lot. We haven't gone into a lot of her history, but I think that this rabbit and this legend really fits in with just the story in general. So that was my like very rabbit hole version, but there's other rabbit.
No, I love that, because like the first thing I came across with the rabbit was that there was this idea of it like representing a crossroads of, you know, you're heading down a different path. And I think both can be applied here, because, you know, this is kind of this is a turning point episode for Poppy.
Yeah.
She's decided that, you know, both verbally and emotionally, that she's all in with Tora. And for her, that's a huge moment. And she's letting go of Julri, which is another huge moment for her. So this is very much a fork in the road for her. And it can also mean good fortune. So I've heard that too, but that's just kind of a googly search thing.
Yeah, I associate a rabbit with like being hunted. So to me, it's like that Poppy, until now, well, I definitely feel she was hunted by Julri, but I don't know. I don't know if that's, you know, reading also too much into it, but that's what I associate with rabbits. But in which case, like, is the rabbit going to like not be in her room anymore? But
yeah,
so many
no. Well, it'd be interesting.
According to Quincy, she may be hunted right now. So
she is the prey.
Well, from Tora, but also like, you know, from the cafe scene that she's in trouble. So
true. Sorry,
yeah.
I went down a sexual rabbit hole.
That's fine. I get it. And you do get
vibrant lamp. Like, I don't know, it's just very very in your face in these panels. So I feel like normally I'm crazy looking up these theories, but I feel like this one might be slightly more justified.
Yeah, it like doesn't fit in the room, you know, it's like completely different than everything else that's in the room. So
yeah,
everything else is very like antique, very old.
You do get like a nice shot of her room, which is cool.
Yeah, I want to zoom in all kinds on this room and find little Easter eggs and whatnot.
Like the little teddy bear pillow.
Yes,
so cute.
It is adorable. It's very Poppy.
Oh, on the chair.
Yeah,
yeah,
little bows on its ear.
Yeah, that is cute.
If I'm wearing what makes me feel good, there's that pillow on the little armchair is a poppy pillow, poppy flower. I just realized.
Oh, I love that. Little tiny things that you don't notice until you start looking.
Yeah.
Where is it?
The red?
What makes me feel good? There's nothing to be ashamed of. So on the right, there's an armchair with a pillow, and it has a puppy on it.
Oh.
Let me scroll back up. I gotta see this.
It's like behind the bear?
Right side.
Let me see.
As we all scroll like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so cute.
Very cute.
All right.
So then she says, screw you, Julri. You've ruined my life enough. So she's finally, hopefully, letting go.
I love this because when I looked at this, I was like, I love that she said this when she takes off the dress and leaves it on the floor. She's shedding the mask and she's letting go and she's leaving it behind. And don't get me wrong, like I know Poppy, I love that dress on her. It's so cute. And I know she did it to dress up, but I think when she's most comfortable is when she's casual. You know, like think about the times that she has been more intimate with Tora. You know, she's in that cutesy little print shirt and shorts the first time they kiss.
The first time they go to she's in
right.
And yeah.
And so I just feel like she's shedding a mask here as she's leaving him behind. She's leaving Julri behind. Like, no, we're done with this. And she's literally going to a shower. So she's cleansing herself. Yes. Yes.
And that dress has seen some shit today. Like,
yes.
Gil being all creepy. Like, she dressed up for Tora, all excited. She's like, yeah, this is gonna be a great day. I'm feeling all pretty. I'm wearing stuff. And then, like, hell broke loose. Gil was a creep. Her grandmother was in the hospital. She had to deal with Julri. Like, that dress is cursed. So, like, shut that off. go shower, go cleanse yourself, go. It's like the rain after when she left Tora's apartment and she felt good about like washing the jewelry thoughts away from her then.
Yes.
Now, washing it off, like cleanse yourself, girl.
Absolutely. And then it looks like we're transitioning back into the living room, maybe, where Tora's hanging out and he's looking at pictures, which is kind of interesting that they don't show the pictures.
Driving me nuts. I need it. I want to see
know.
the picture frame.
Which tells me, because this happened one other time in the comic, and that was when we found out about Poppy's mom.
You're
so
right.
like, I want to know who's in those picture frames.
a different angle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Lily, we're gonna need a reveal.
We're definitely being teased, and it's not fair.
Well, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, when I first looked at this panel where she says, "Hey, I'm done," and Tora's still staring at the pictures, I'm like, no way he has just stood there for 20 minutes staring at pictures. I'm like, I'm hoping we're going to get a little bit of a flashback that shows us what he was doing.
Me too.
Yeah, that's interesting. It just says, "Hey, I'm done. Hey, yourself." And then he turns around and sees her.
Again, I can't stop my making connections that probably have nothing to do with anything, but the hey now, I think of the alleyway when she was running, it was like, "Hey," and like later on he was like a little bit like butthurt and he was like, "My name is Tora, like call me by my name, you don't just scream hey at me." And I feel like I didn't realize why she did that, but here she's like, "Hey" again, and he's like, "Hey yourself." And like it just seems like I pictured it snarky. I don't know if it was actually snarky, but like playful snarky.
Yeah I think you're right.
And his face here looks so like, I don't know, like content. So like maybe he was like really enjoying looking at the pictures or something. So it's right before he sees her.
I just see sex. All I'm seeing in that face is sex. I don't know. I might I'm just blinded.
we have been primed.
No, I like what you're saying, Jen. I see it too. I feel like he probably feels at home, and this is like a cozy situation for him. And she comes down and he's just like happy to see her. Not yes, sexy later, for sure, love later, but like, yeah, I do see that expression as being like comforted.
Mm-hmm. Just casual, happy. And then he sees her and we get a gorgeous Tora shot.
The reveal is great. Like these panels, like you can see like the back end him, then he looks at her, like it's just like it flows so nicely.
Oof, she went for the spaghetti strap. I was like, yes. And she's not wearing a bra, y'all. And get it, girl.
Gray sweatpants.
Yes.
God damn it. I need Tora to wear them too.
Oh my god.
They'll be matching pajamas. We all know the couple of matching pajamas.
I want to know like what was running in his head, because you know how we got the running commentary of Poppy when she saw him in his apartment where it like dressed down in the gray sweatpants, and I'm like, what are you thinking, Tora? Like, what kind of gutter thoughts are going through your head?
Good ones.
Very good ones. He's probably like, she's not a piece of meat. She's not a piece of meat.
Oh, I think he thinks she's a piece of meat.
He's very hungry.
Because, are you hungry? Do you want me to get you something to eat?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I do.
Oh god, he can't even help it. Like he can't even hold it back anymore.
Been sexually repressed for 11 fucking chapters at least. Like from that alleyway scene, it has been 11 chapters of like he was ready to get it on. He was like, "I will take you downstairs into this pool hall and I will fuck you against this table." And she was like, "Oh, that's not what I meant. Gotta go, bye." And so like he has been like literally probably fighting this urge for 11 chapters. And then before that, multiple times when she's climbed him. So like there's a lot of sexual tension this man has been repressing. I don't know how much longer he can hold that, because I would have snapped.
Right. This has been going on a month. Like, holy crap. If we think about it from the very get-go, when he, busted ass on the stairs because he saw her rack hanging out. Like that was so funny. And then like just since that time, he's gotten closer and closer to her, seeing her more intimately every time. And like this is the most vulnerable he has ever seen her. And like, yes, I get that there's that emotional vulnerability, but man, This man is just revved and ready to go. Whew. And I don't blame him because I'm looking at Poppy and I'm like, Jesus, woman.
The way that perusal, you see his eyes going from seeing her come down, noticing her little fidget, and then just sliding his eyes up and being like, damn that rack. And like those lips, like they're highlights, and he's looking, he's liking, and I do not blame him one bit.
Oh my God.
It's not even pulled all the way down. It's like up there and revealing her little stomach.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm okay. Hey, if that is a 10-year-old tank top, Poppy, you can still rock it.
Heck yeah.
Oh, speaking of old things, I'm sure y'all have noticed the calendar from 1954 on the wall.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I didn't see the year on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Zoom in, you can see 1954. I wasn't the first one to notice it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I want to know why. What happened in 1954?
Right.
Yeah,
maybe that's when they bought the place.
Maybe because it's a calendar. I was thinking something with with Poppy's grandma's husband. I was wondering like maybe that was like a significant year for them. Like my parents were born in the 1950s. I'm thinking like they would have been, if her grandparents could have been like around like 30s or something at that point.
Yeah. Makes me wonder.
Maybe they did something fun that year and she kept it. I don't know. I'm making stuff up.
Mindy, I think you're still muted.
We missed you.
Hear me now?
Oh, there you are.
Yep, there you are.
Yeah, so maybe it's a mafia related year. Not an anniversary necessarily.
Something tragic. That would be a sad reminder to keep on the wall, but we don't know.
I do think, like, swinging back around to the last line that Tora says, he's like, fuck yeah, I do. And I'm like, this is probably going to be his oh shit backpedal moment that Poppy had in the club. So remember when Poppy said, what about underneath you? I think this is going to be his like, oh shit, I said too much moment.
God, I felt that panel though. So like, I hope not. I hope he just like balls out as like, yeah, no, like I meant what I said.
Yes, please. And
I felt things. I like 100% was on board with this. Those eyes, that phrasing, like.
Well, I think we all thought Poppy was going to backpedal on that one, and she didn't really. I mean, she was like, "Oops, I'm drunk," and I said things, but
my bad.
She didn't say like, "I didn't mean it."
Yeah,
that is true. That is a good point. So we'll have to see. But my big question is, because like I'm already thinking like, oh no, there's bugs or snakes in the guest room. Forced proximity. We're gonna have to sleep in the same room on that tiny little bed.
Poppy has to protect Tora.
Yeah,
can't be without her. Can't be alone.
Right. So are we saying that like my question is, who's the big spoon?
I'm the big spoon in my 6'1" husband, and I love it.
That's hilarious. That's cute.
So I think she'd make a great squishy boobs on the back. I mean,
I'm not picky.
You will take any kind of cuddling.
Fire in the bed, on the couch, on the floor, anywhere.
Oh, love that. But I do think we're definitely like, if I follow the trajectory of like how intimate this is becoming, and if I'm following my crazy tinfoil theory that this is kind of following the same trajectory as Ashura's Bride, we are about to get some hard truths talked about, and we are about to get some intimate romantic time. Now I'm not saying that they're going to get down. I really don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's. I
want almost getting down. I want like,
yes,
want some kind of like highly charged sexual moment, and then like I don't know, something interrupts it. They decide this is what the fuck is going on. I don't know.
I saw your lights on, young lady.
Oh my God, can you imagine? They get cock blocked by a neighbor. Oh man. But I will take some making out, some hardcore making out.
Over clothes stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're so shameless. We're just lustful creatures.
I like your about Ashura's Bride because so I think you had this theory too, and I do too, that lake is the same lake, the White Lake.
Yeah.
So they were spooning in Ashura's Bride. Ulan was spooning her by the riverside, so or lakeside. So I'm 100% on board with a little bit of locational magic, kind of pushing them together again in this same scene.
Yeah, and
so
if
good.
nothing else, we did get some scooter spooning.
A lot of forced proximity. We had no, Julri shoved a potato up my tailpipe. Then we had, oh no, my grandmother broke her wrist and is in the hospital. I guess you'll stay at my place. And now we're gonna have, oh no,
roaches in the guest room.
So here's to hoping the close proximity thing keeps going.
Yes.
Yes.
Odd. Oh man.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to end the episode with our hopes and dreams for the next one.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun, and it's nice to have you all together because I've always had you separately. So it was cool to have you together.
Yay.
It was awesome.
Yes.
Great to meet everybody.
It was nice to meet you too. It was so fun.
You ladies have a good night.
You too.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Mindy.
Bye.
Bye.